I would say that if you are a new gardener, you should definitely try water propagation because it's easy to do and it makes you feel more confident as a gardener because you've got a big win under your belt. I propagated this tomato plant from another tomato plant that I had rooted in a container. I snipped it off, put it in some water, it rooted in about 3 weeks, and then I transferred it to soil. So stay tuned until the end because tomato plant care, or really any plant care, doesn't stop when you take it out of the water, plop it into soil, and then just let it grow. There's some things you need to do to make sure that it does not go into shock and that it grows properly. And then I also want to tell you about one tool that has totally changed my indoor gardening and transition from water propagation to soil game, if that makes sense. It's helped keep my plants alive longer when it's transitioning to soil because it goes into shock and it can easily wither away. I've had that happen with some coleus that I had recently. But if you use this one thing that's probably already inside your kitchen, it's gonna be amazing. You're gonna love it so much, so stay tuned. So here is my tomato plant that has been propagated into water held by my baby girl. I used some liquid fertilizer to just kind of throw in there during the 3-week period, and then I also changed out the water once or twice. So here are all the things that you're going to need to transition your tomato plant into soil. Okay, so you're going to want to use that styrofoam cup to take your soil and put it in your container. As you'll see, I have recycled my container. It used to be like I think it had pea protein in it or something, and then you're going to want to moisten your soil. And if I had thought this through more, I would have put my soil in a bigger bowl and then mixed the water into it. But this process, you can make it work too. Okay, so we're taking our tomato plants out of the water, and you want to work very quickly with this here. And I just wanted to kind of show you guys what the roots look like. They've actually grown pretty well. And I read you should wait until the roots are about 1 inch long before you take them out of the water and decide to transition them to soil. You're going to want to make a space for your plants, and if you'll see, I left a little bit of room at the top where there is no soil because I want to be able to put more soil on top and kind of get them good and into that container. Okay, so we've got our tomato plants in there. Now we're going to get some more soil and we're going to fill the container the rest of the way. And I'll leave a little bit of room at the top so it has a little bit of room to breathe. And I will probably end up transplanting these one more time because as a new gardener, I did not think about the fact that tomatoes do well in a larger space. So I could have put them in a larger container and they would have been just fine. So I think this is a good place to stop and tell you about some of the things that you'll need to do to continue to care for your tomato plant now that they are in soil. It is January right now. We are indoors. This little guy is not going outdoors. So we need to make sure that he gets 6 hours of sunlight. And I've recently purchased an LED indoor light that I'm gonna shine over him for about 6 hours a day. So that's something you really need to think about when you're transplanting these. And gardening is all about kind of thinking a couple of steps ahead, especially when you're indoor gardening, and you really need to think about light. So tomato plants also grow straight up, so they're going to need some sort of support system. So what you can do is you can either use a stake to stick in right next to the tomato plant, and if you plan on doing that, then do it relatively quickly so that you do not damage the roots. And then another thing you can do is you can get a circular trellis system. You stick wiring into the container, and then you've got circular things that go up, and then you can kind of put the vines around the trellis system so that the tomatoes can continue to be supported. It's also important to troubleshoot any diseases or symptoms you see arise in your plant that may indicate that they're sick. The first one is yellow leaves and stunted growth. That could just mean that this tomato is being overwatered, which is entirely possible. That's something that's very common with indoor gardening and new gardeners, is that you overwater. And if it's not overwatering, it might be that it's not being fed enough. So tomatoes are hungry feeders, they're called heavy feeders. So once they start to bloom flowers, you are going to give it fertilizer every week. It's going to need that much nutrition. It loves nutrition, it loves organic matter, and that's really going to help make it grow. And then once you do put it in potting soil, just another fact, the fertilizer or the feed that's inside that potting soil lasts for about 4 to 6 weeks, just FYI. Okay, one of the things you've been waiting for until the end of this video is the tool that I told you guys about that is probably in your kitchen that you can use to help up your propagation game. And guess what? It's been in the video the whole time. So it's just a gallon Ziploc bag. And it does wonders because it acts like a mini greenhouse. And when I learned this, it really helped me with all of the plants that I had. I recently transplanted some lettuce from an aero garden into soil, and it really worked. It worked out really well, and it helped keep the moisture in, and it helped keep a warm environment too, so that my plants didn't wither and die. Go.
Looks like they're surrounded by a gigantic ghost.
But this has really helped, and I will show you this little guy. It also helps if you name your plants. I have not named him, but if you would like to name him for me, please leave your suggestions in the comment box below. But he's doing pretty well. And I did take the bag off once, probably a little bit too soon, but I put it back on. I just wanted to inspect the leaves, and they're doing pretty well. There's a little bit of dryness, but as you can tell, the soil it's pretty moist. Another thing that you want to think about that I did not mention earlier in the video is also drainage holes. You're going to want to put drainage holes in the bottom, and then I just use the lid of the container that I have to be a place where the water can drain into. So that's it, you guys. Tell me about your propagation journey. Tell me about what plants you're excited about. Leave a comment, say hi in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe.